to you for acupuncture back when you were on.
Yes. So anybody who's taken my classes knows that sound. So, but I love the buzz because the whole point is we're creating a social wellness community. So make sure before you leave today, you'll introduce yourselves. Yanni, we can turn that music down in the back. The music, I know, we should stop it on here. Before you leave today, you will have the opportunity to meet someone brand new. And I'll suggest that that someone is already in alignment with the energy that you're probably looking for in the new people that you meet. So I don't know if you've had this problem where you meet people and you have to explain to them why you're eating what you're eating, why your fitness routine is the way it is, why you have a certain philosophy about how to take care of yourself. Well, I'm kind of tired of explaining that to new people. So I want to have a community of people individually who are working on themselves, who are proactive, preventative in their approach to health and wellness, so that we can all come to the conversation collectively and feel like we're offering information to each other. That we're not just constantly teaching, we're not just waiting for somebody else to have an amazing epiphany about their health and what their health strategy is, that we come to a space where we can collectively exchange information and feel like we're learning, we're connecting, and we're thriving together. So that's the point of our Social Wellness Club, is to connect, to learn, to thrive, and to feel like we walk away with a little bit more information than we might have had coming in. So the perfect person I thought to start us off is Dr. Charlie Ware, who has already changed the lives of some of the people in this room. He's a functional medicine doctor, but more than that, the genetic work that he does is giving us literally the education about our own bodies so that we're more aware of what we should be eating, what we should be doing, so that we are able to enhance the way we feel regardless of what our baseline is. So if you'd have talked to me 2 months ago, I would have told you I feel phenomenal. I sleep great, I feel great, I don't have any digestive issues, I don't have anything going on that would make me, raise a red flag to say, hey, let me check on this. Then I take a gut test, a GI test, and literally have 3 bacteria that are living their best life in my belly, running rampant. So if you think about the fact that we all have an ecosystem in our bellies anyway, like there are things living, growing, thriving already inside of us. And you might think when you eat something and you have a little bit of, a little gurgle in your belly, or you feel a little bloated, or you feel a little, that's normal. It's not. So I was inflamed and didn't know it. So now luckily I'm probably like 15 pounds less inflamed now than I was. And I don't think it's even fat. I feel like it's legitimately like my joints feel better, my energy level's better, I'm sleeping better, I don't drink coffee anymore. Like I was wake up in the morning, the darkest coffee, thickest coffee, and that was just, left over from grad school, left over from the way I lived, and it literally took 2 days of being just on the juice cleanse for me to change the way that I felt. And it didn't require a drastic shift because I started to feel the difference in like 5 days. So I'm just encouraging everyone to think about what little small changes you might be able to do that could drastically change the way you show up in the world. Because my whole philosophy of things is if we feel better, we treat each other a little better. We show up in the world a little better. So if we can start to do that as our little social wellness community here, just imagine what we can do in the world. So from that, I'm just encouraging everybody. Also, we're streaming this live. We are going to have recordings up on Guided Stretch, so if you know somebody who's not here today that would benefit from what we're talking about, feel free to share it, and we'll keep the conversation going. This is the first of a 4-part workshop series. After him, I have a blood micrologist that comes. She looks at your blood, looks at your red and white blood cells. She's going to put up on a microscope, check in to see what's going on inside. We have people that do atlas adjustments using sound frequency to adjust your craniosacral alignment. They don't touch you, they just sound frequency you, and you walk out taller, feeling better, getting rid of joint pain. So I also want to invite anybody who knows somebody who might contribute to our conversation to recommend those people, so that we start to bring people together and have a conversation about holistic health and wellness. And in case I didn't say it, I'm Christine Lewis. This is Guided Stretch. big shout out to Yanni Amador, who literally makes everything happen on the back end, and introducing Dr. Charlie Ware. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, guys, I'm Dr. Charlie Ware. Just give you a little background really quick. Functional medicine doctor, acupuncture. I own a supplement company, own several hospitals in Africa. How did I get here with genetics and the microbiome? Actually, I have sickle cell beta thalassemia as well. For those who don't know what that is a genetic red blood cell disease that actually my blood cells are not all round and beautiful. A lot of them are shaped like a sickle. And then some other components to it as well. So my life expectancy was actually supposed to be in my early 20s. I'm now almost 50 years old. I'm like 5 months away from being 50 years old. So, and that's all attributed to what my diet, and me understanding how my body should and can work to be its best. Essentially, we're here to know you're not be the best you can be. Thus, by doing that, you're going to actually age backwards by not allowing your body to do what? Bring on oxidative stress. Can we go to the next slide really quick? I'm gonna go through this not fast, but I'm trying to have you guys understand the importance about understanding put inside your body and what it's really doing. This is the average life expectancy over from 1770 all the way to 2020. And if you see right here, what's happening in the United States right now? We are declining in age. The average age right now of the average person is 40 years old. That's when they're gonna die. And that over the last 10 years has been decreasing. It used to be, what, 82, 83 years old? It's decreasing. And why is it really decreasing, guys? Diet. Lifestyle. Diet. It's much. It's lifestyle. Okay? So part of what I have trying to implement with a lot of my current patients, my old patients, something called SOZA, the SOZA method. The SOZA method is really this. SOZA is a old Greek term that basically means that it's to save wholly and completely, barring all things, and try to completely restore you back to health, barring all things. So it's to save you from suffering, right? So that's what I promise you. I want you to understand that it's not about what's in your gut or what's in your genes, it's about what is also in your environment as well, okay? Next slide, please. All right, so we want to understand aging. And what is aging, right? Aging is the typical terminology we actually use, like the telomere shortening. What's a telomere? Telomere is when your genes start to come apart and make more genes, more cells. The ends of those we call telomeres. And if you have very long, beautiful telomeres, we're able to say, oh, well, you can have a lifelong expectancy. That's actually false now. It's much more than just these simple things we're looking at. So this is actually false. Genomic instability. Yes, genomic instability is essentially what's a genome? A genome, and I'll show you a video later on to give you a better explanation, is essentially, I call it what the soup your genes are sitting in. Your genes either express themselves or don't express themselves, to be good or also to be bad. When that stability happens, your body breaks down and creates what? This system right here calls oxidative stress, right? So epigenetic modifications, essentially lifestyle, right? If you're not actually having a proper lifestyle for you, and again, who here is actually sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night? Wow, really? Really? That's it? Oh my gosh, that's horrible. And again, everyone thinks it's diet, is sleep, is diet, is exercise, and also the last one that most of us are not getting right is what? Stress management. You understand that when you're not handling your stress properly, you actually are passing on those genes to your kids as well. And there's a study that was shown that individuals that were in the Holocaust, they've actually passed down those anxiety genes through 3 or 4 generations of children. So a lot of times, even our own microbiome and our own stress is not even our own. It can be from our great-grandparents as well. In fact, to be completely honest with you, our microbiome doesn't really come from our mom and dad. It comes from our grandparents and our great-grandparents. Is that correlation sort of goes on, right? So mitochondria dysfunction. Mitochondria is basically where the cell gets its all energy from. So when that cell starts to break down, what's going to happen? The cells start to break down a lot faster as well. Loss of proteases. Proteases is how you absorbs what? Protein. As we get older, we need more protein in our system. But I've been vegan and vegetarian for 30 years. meaning that it's different ways we can actually play with these things and make sure that you don't have to have animal proteins, different ways of looking at it. You're totally fine. Deregulation of nutrient sensing basically means that you're even going to know what it needs when it doesn't need it because you're so used to not having certain nutrients in your body anyway. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, your body won't even uptake it. Stem cell exhaustion, your body is not producing new cells, okay? Cellular senescence and altered cellular communication means that they're not communicating. And again, this is the normal situation that actually happens. I can go through it, but again, what happens is, this is where we sort of get it wrong right here. Our body does not efficiently detoxify itself, and when it does not detoxify itself, what's gonna happen? You're gonna age faster. So there's a difference between your biological age and your genealogical age as well, right? Biological age, biological and chronological age. Chronological age means how old are you now? Right? 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. But biological age is essentially how fast is your body truly aging. When I do some of these tests, and the science is still kind of iffy on it, but in general, most individuals that I see are about anywhere from 7 to 15 years over their biological age. 7 to 15 years. So how can we now reduce that? It's very, very simple. But how can we actually understand what's really going on in our system when we don't really know our true issue? Are we all doomed? Next slide, please. We're all doomed. Are we all doomed? Are we all doomed to just live our lives and eventually die and don't really figure out how to have a better lifestyle? Next slide. This is our consumption of sugar in 1 year for the average American. See how much is that? About 130 pounds. The average American, including sweeteners as well, because I have a lot of people who say, oh, well, no. Wait a minute. I drink things or eat things that have no sugar inside of them. I'm like, yeah, but you have a sweetener inside of that coffee or whatever it may be. Kids are this first line right here. Your kids are having between 60 to 80 pounds of sugar per year. Teenage to middle adult right here, our obese individuals are usually around 130.
80 pounds of sugar? Think about that. 80 pounds of sugar. But that's half our body weight in sugar. I'm just looking at the first time I really just processed that.
And essentially, that's what, and originally, I'm sorry, and I was going to have weights here and have you guys lift weights and try to see if who can lift 30 pounds or 130 pounds. Most of you can't even lift that.
Is that fructose?
No.
That's glucose.
This is just straight what you're eating every day. The coffee put inside, the sugar you put inside your coffee. I use stevia, I use all these other alternatives. I use honey. All these things break down in your body as what? Sugar, period. And I have a lot of patients that when they come into my office originally, oh, I eat healthy, I do this, I do that. I'm like, okay, great. So give me a typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I look at how much sugar. You have to understand that this is the number one reason why you age. This is the number one reason why, now, just say 100 years ago, you know how much the average American consumed 100 years ago? 20. In 100 years, we've done this to ourselves, right? In other countries, actually, it's a little bit different. America isn't the worst, but we're not the best at all either. Next slide. So, the American Heart Association says that we should be having between 9.5 teaspoons of sugar a day to remain healthy. Well, the average adult has 22. The average teenage, they say child, actually is having around 32. We know this is all a joke. Who's going to have 10 teaspoons of sugar a day, knowingly? No one? Well, who goes to Starbucks? That Frappuccino, that latte, whatever, it has about 12 teaspoons of sugar inside of it. Gatorade, Powerade, all those sports drinks have anywhere between 11 and 24 scoops of sugar inside of it. Mott's, apple juice we give our kids, 12. You're consuming sugar in so many different places that you say, oh no, this has no sugar or it's all natural or whatever. It's still sugar, guys. And what does it do to our body? Creates us to be aging faster, but also creates inflammation as well. But what is it doing to our microbiome? Let me step back and have you understand what a microbiome is. We have about 500, 750 different bacteria that our body truly needs to function. Our microbiome is located anywhere in our gut mainly, but also in our nose, in our brain, in our skin, our anus, our vaginal canals, our urethras, is all over our body. And the minute that one of those bacteria are thrown off, what happens? The entire system is thrown off. The microbiome from 100 years ago is now about maybe 15% of what it is today. Our microbiome is so decreased that why a lot of these autoimmune diseases are happening is simply because of our microbiome not being sufficient. Okay? Next slide, please. So this is the picture of a good old bacteria that we should have in our system. These little red things are actually sugars that actually attack the actual nice bacteria inside of our gut. And what is it doing? It changes this good bacteria into bad bacteria. And what does it do? It attaches itself to the lumen of our intestines, creating what? Leaky gut syndrome. Have you heard that? You heard that, right? Right? You also know, and I'm going to kind of moving fast with this one, but we've been able to find now that a lot of the bacteria that only should be inside of our gut, only in our gut, has been found in places where it shouldn't be. Our throat, our eyes, our ears, our heart valves. And what does that bacteria do? Something called the C word. Creates what? There you go. Cancer loves looking at this right here. Cancer lives off of, there you go. Okay? So when we look at ourselves, we say, well, I don't know how that actually happened. Look at your diet first and foremost. Look at your diet first and foremost. Next slide, please. You have to read it? So beyond just cancer, our metabolic system, which means how we break down and make other bacteria and also other vitamins and nutrients, things of that sort, is largely broken down by sugars. Let me give you a little quick one. High fructose corn syrup. How many of you guys ingest high fructose corn syrup on a daily basis? I'm gonna say most of you guys. Why? Because if you have any sort of packaged food that you eat, it has it inside there. 99% of packaged food, I don't care, even if it says organic and it has all these other kind of sugar little things, it's still a high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup does several things. It breaks down, of course, your microbiome, but what does it do to the brain? It decreases your brain function up to 35% for 2 hours when you just have 2-3 bites of it. Okay? This is how serious it is. Sugar is more addictive than what? Heroin and cocaine. It's so serious that you guys have to understand that one reason why the gut is the way it is not because of the fact that it's genetic. It's not. We've done this to ourselves. Most, who has kids here? Who has kids? Raise your hands, women. Oh, I'm sorry, you can do it. So, did you breastfeed your kids? Beautiful, I love you. Because, I'm being serious. Because when they had this whole agenda to push formulas on all the mothers, because it's so much easier or so much more healthier, your child, from the first minute they were born, is now getting artificial sugars. So now you understand that the obesity rate, the autism rate, the fact that at 8 years old, we're having kids on insulin because of the fact that they have type 2 diabetes at 8 years old. One reason why I was telling you the story about the sickle cell disease, one reason why I got into this, or even the microbiome, is because one of the protocols that they actually give infants to 5 years old is to have them take antibiotics on a daily basis. I'm sorry to laugh about it. I think it's the most stupid thing ever, and it's whatever, I don't care, but stupid, because we've actually been able to see that The evidence doesn't support it. Two, 40 years ago, just even with ear infections, how many of you kids had ear infections and say, okay, just keep doing antibiotics and antibiotics? 40 years ago, they said antibiotics would never work for ear infections, would never work. So imagine that if it's not working for ear infections, you think this is going to prevent anything, and actually the condition that they're trying to prevent is a viral condition in these sickle cell babies. So is an antibiotic going to work on a viral condition? Basic science is not. But what has it done to their microbiome? A lot of them I've given my microbiome testing, and all their microbiome is completely gone.
I'm always curious because I hear people taking antibiotics regularly for everything and anything. And my idea is that if you're taking antibiotics, it's killing everything. And I
Yes.
really, it resonates with me more because the bacteria, I had H. pylori, I told you I had 2 other bacteria. Normally, if I went to a Western doctor, they would immediately put me on antibiotics. But those antibiotics, but the funny thing is when you look at the test, all my good bacteria were doing really well.
Yeah.
They're making a really big effort to combat what's going on. And so my good bacteria levels were high as well. But then the bad bacteria, the good bacteria spend all their energy fighting the bad bacteria.
Yeah.
So what happens if I take antibiotics? I kill off all the bacteria.
Yet again.
What happens, you know, to the ecosystem of my belly? How do you even know you take probiotics when you take antibiotics? But how do you even recover from that?
Exactly. And since you got on that subject, now I'm going to off my lecture here. Just joking. When you take amoxicillin, it takes the gut between 9 months and a year to recover. And this is if you actually are doing all the things properly. When you take, oh my gosh, blank, penicillin, it takes 18 months for your gut to recover if you're doing all the things proper. So how many of you guys have actually, you know, after you have antibiotics, you fasted, you juice fast, you did all the things proper to rebuild your gut? No one. Okay, I already know the question. Answer the question. And again, I'm not trying to shame anyone. I'm just trying to give you guys the information that we researched. Years ago, I was part of a group that we wrote a book called The Code of Longevity, right? My portion of the book was really speaking about the bioactive nutrients in food that helps you have longevity. And all my other experts, we really looked at essentially the best things that we could do for ourselves to make sure that we're gonna live to be 120. We have the genetic makeup to live to be 120, guys. To be 120. And if I tell you guys that, and I've already showed you that, you're here in the United States, 74 years old, expect to, right? So understand that. So where was I since she got me off my, I'm just joking. But those questions and those understanding what we're doing to ourselves are so important. Because we're thinking that, oh, I'm just living the best life. I'm like, no, you're not. You really aren't. You know, I told Christine this story. And is it judgmental? I don't care if you think it is. However, I was in my office, and I was seeing a friend of mine, and I looked down, and the Bentley SUV had just come out, and this person had pulled up. And I said, Mike, I bet that person gets out of that car and start limping. He said, what are you talking about? I said, how much you want to bet? All right, lunch. Okay, great. So person gets and the person's limping. He's like, how'd you know? I say, listen, how many of us are more concerned about the way we look than how we feel? If you're waking up and not jumping out of bed and walking, I don't care what age, you're not living the best life you can live. You're not. The model I have, even though he died at 86 years old, it's my grandfather. He was still riding his bike every day. I'm charging him extra. He actually, a week before he died, he walked into my mom's house and said, listen, I'm not feeling my best. I feel a little off. A couple of days later, he was dead. I was like, wow, life, man. He was still riding his bike. You know, we had a farm, 100-acre farm in Virginia. He was still working that, doing all those things. You know, so living off the land. It's where I actually learned how to do all these things. So it can be very, very simple if you're given the tools, but we've actually messed all that stuff up. Next slide, please. Anybody has chronic fatigue? Anybody has foggy brain syndrome? Anybody has difficulty waking up? Anyone needs coffee? All these things to actually wake up in the morning in order for you to feel as if you can function? Raise your hand. Keep going. keep going. I know all you guys. So I'm gonna give you a simple trick as the reason why you guys need to have all this stuff. One, you're dehydrated, okay? Think about this, the brain actually detoxifies itself mostly when? At night. It actually gets rid of most of its water because that's how it packages everything up and gets rid of it. That's why you wake up in the morning, you have to go urinate. That's one of the reasons why, okay? So you're dehydrated. So why are you gonna actually grab a caffeinated drink that's gonna do what? Make you more? Thank you. What you're going to do is actually, and it's a study that was done in Japan with this 96-year-old master. I love this guy. He's dead now, unfortunately, but he said he did a study for 40 years, said all he had his students do, over 1,000 students, woke up in the morning, drank some warm water with some mint leaves, some lemon, and that was it. And no one needed any tea until their lunchtime. Why? They were hydrated, that's it. So every morning, what do? Every morning I wake up, this is my drink. If you have a pen, write it down. If you don't have a pen, she'll send you the link. Every morning, I actually wake up, I drink between 24 and 32 ounces of warm water. But in that water, I grate my ginger, I grate my turmeric, and I squeeze half a lemon inside there, and I put rosemary, sage, thyme, anything else I can throw inside there. Put it in a coffee press, in a French press, press it down, and I drink that. On top of that, I actually add maybe a teaspoon of olive oil. Why? No. Yes, but no. A lot of times we assume that we need sugar to be our fuel. Oil, healthy oils are our fuel. If you look at the molecule of the actual oil, let's say olive oil, you turn it upside down, it's the same molecule as the sugar. So our body wants to break that down faster. So every morning I drink that, I do what? I feel great, I urinate out like a yellow or orange stream because I'm getting all the turmeric through my system. Now I'm not hydrated, I'm also anti-inflammatory, and I also have my fuel. So I don't eat until 11, 12, 1 o'clock. I haven't eaten today yet. Not hungry at all. We also overeat. Best way to heal our gut is what? Fast. Let it rest. Okay, next slide, please.
And can I ask also, I always ask all the questions.
No worries.
Can get a glimpse of how it was in school. Is the reason that our gut is healing more when it fasts because it can't heal? You talked to me a lot about the lining of my gut with the hemp oil and the olive oil.
Yes.
It can't heal with food in it. There's the lining. Explain that a little bit because
It depends on the food. It is, again, phytonutrients, and part of what we also researched and what I found was the way our body recognizes medicine is not through pharmaceuticals, it's through herbs, right? That's the reason why I put my turmeric, sage, and all that kind of stuff inside there. Your body needs phytonutrients in order to heal itself, bar none. So if you're talking about, having green juice, the reason I actually have, individuals on green juice during that fast is because you need phytonutrients to do what? Heal the gut lining. You need things that actually have epithelial growth factors inside of it that's going to heal the body and also make it anti-inflammatory as well. So that's the reason why. So yeah, but yes, it's one of the things where you want it to rest, but also just bombard the body with as many phytonutrients as possible and also good oils because that's really your fuel. Right.
all phytonutrients.
Yeah, greens and also some fruits, but again, fruits are what? It has fructose inside of it, so we want to make sure we stay away from that for a while, just to make sure our body is going to use all the phytonutrients. That's why I have the oil inside there. Why? Because our body's going to break it down slower, and we won't get hungry as fast, and we'll also be still having that same energy.
Yeah, when I put that hemp oil in the green juice, I was not hungry at all.
At all.
And it freaked me out a little bit because
Yeah.
I'm a muncher all day long. I always have snacks. And
Yeah.
that little bit of hemp oil in the green juice.
Yeah. The whole biohacking, circuit or whatever, I call it bogus a lot of it. Sorry. It's not bogus. Scratch the edit that out. It's not bogus. What it is this right here. You have to understand that the body has to rest. So by us amping up and doing all these different things is great, but if you don't have the mechanism to first detoxify all the things that your body's trying to get rid of, you're gonna still be sick, regardless. So you first must learn how to detoxify itself. So that's why the red light therapy, some of the other therapies just in here are helping your body just simply detoxify itself. Going for a walk versus going for a run is gonna do what? Put less stress on it and actually allow the body to do what? Detoxify very, very easily. So it's very important for you to understand the first goal of all this is to get all the crap out your system, period. And if you can't do that, I gotta get your body to do it. That's why I have you do the fast and all these other things and make sure that your body is gonna do exactly what I need for it to do to be well, and then we can start to build you back up. So drinking coffee with butter inside of it sounds great, but at the end of the day, that's not the only thing that's gonna make you healthy. What's gonna make you healthy is make sure that your body is going to detoxify from top to bottom, head to toe. You have to do that. And any of those things are cut off in any way, forget about it. You're gonna age faster, more disease, everything else. You're gonna look great, I feel great. No, you don't. Stop lying. All right, so this slot right here, sorry to stay on here, this slot right here, this has been the microbiome. There's been 2 bacteria that should only be, should even not even be in your body realistically. It's been shown inside of the gut, but also it's been sorry, I'm saying that a lot, also shown to show issues inside the heart. It actually attacks the microbiomes. So individuals that have had strep throat, right, things like that, you take antibiotics for, I guarantee it's laying inside your system somewhere, usually inside your gut, but also maybe inside of your heart and your veins and arteries. That's one reason why you have plaque inside your veins and arteries, because it's also been linked to hypertension as well. Individuals that have strep disease, but also have strep inside their gut, also has been linked to heart attacks, CVS, microvalve issues, all those things. A simple test, but also a simple bacteria that one shouldn't already be there is causing all those issues. So imagine all the other things, you know, the bifolds and the lactobacillus and all these things that should be there, but it's fighting, as Christine said, because it has one overgrown thing that the body is not able to control as well.
And one of the other things, just because it was so profound, I know other people that went through the fast, whether it was just with the juice or eating food at the same time, that had sinus issues. That 5 days into it, sinus issues completely gone.
Yeah.
Having sinus issues for decades, literally 20, 30 years. You know, all these things, thinking that it's just, you know, people say it's allergies. But my suggestion is it's not allergies to the pollen that's triggering it.
No.
It's allergies legitimately. It's a bacteria in your belly that is causing sinus issues.
Exactly.
So to have that shift, it's like you think that all these symptoms, these little things that you feel are things that are normal. We're not supposed to be feeling those things.
Exactly.
We're supposed to be feeling like we're in constant good health.
Exactly. Next slide, please. So we already spoken about some of the signs and symptoms of having a microbiome condition: acne, antibiotic-associated diarrhea, you know, asthma, allergies, autism, autoimmune disease, cancers. Did you guys actually know, and who's had cavities, you know, here, that a cavity is not, oh, my tooth just rotting away. It's a bacterial infection. It's a bacteria. Cavities are just simple bacterial infections. I'm gonna brag a little bit. I unfortunately hadn't gone to the dentist in like maybe 15 years, and I went like maybe 3 years ago for the first time in years, and the dentist was like, "You're all clear." I hadn't had a cleaning, hadn't had anything done in say 15 years. He was like, "You're all clear. There's nothing wrong." And it's because of the fact that I really don't consume sugar except for fruit. So again, it's a big one to understand that a lot of your dental issues is because you have bacteria overgrowth inside of your mouth. Plain and simple. Yes, sir.
I can answer that because I have a cavity that I was supposed to get a root canal, and I have a friend who had lupus, and the only thing I could do was support was to change my diet and work with her.
Yeah.
And I did green juice, coconut oil, olive oil, vegan green juice.
Yeah.
And I can show you I still got that cavity, and it hasn't moved in
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that you can actually do as well is put, you can go to a site called Pure 3, get some ozone oil, and just put it on there as well. It'll help all to kill the bacteria as well. So yeah, it's simple just to understand that a lot of these things that we think that are normal, oh, well, you know, I have cavities, is because, not because just the sugar, but the sugar has now done what to the body? kills all the good bacteria, and turn that good bacteria into now attacking bacteria inside of the body, and also in the dental area. Depression and anxiety. We assume that depression and anxiety is because there's some chemical imbalance. No, there's bacteria on your brain. Body's not able to even produce, because again, realize this, where's most of your hormones being produced? Your gut. So if you have a bad gut, what's gonna happen? You're gonna have bad thoughts, depression, anxiety, anger, all these things are gonna go on. You have individuals say, oh man, you know, I've been on, you know, these psycho meds for years and I clean my gut up and then I feel the best that I've ever felt. That's the point. That's the actual point right there. Diabetes, of course, eczema, of course, gastric ulcers, of course, heart, you know, the arteries and the arteries, I've already showed that right already. These bacteria are going to live everywhere inside the body. Another, you know, fun fact, you live here in South Florida, what also lives here in South Florida? Mosquitoes, okay? We used to think that the reason why mosquitoes were attracted to certain people more than others was because they had too much O2, carbon dioxide that they're emitting. It's not that. It's certain bacteria that these mosquitoes love that are on the skin. So if this is bad, you can start emitting that bacteria as well. Okay? So start cleaning this up. You say, oh, I'm not getting bit as much. I can go out to the ball field, wherever, with my kids, and I'm not getting bit at all. People are like, oh my gosh, I'm like, really? Yeah, you are. Put that in that Coke Zero, that Prime. Don't drink Prime anyway. Prime is like 2 cans of Red Bull. Please, don't do that. Ugh. Inflammatory bowel disease, malnutrition. Malnutrition. Say it with me. Malnutrition. Why? Because your body's not able to absorb anything except for sugar. Obesity. Next slide, please. So this is where I'm going to switch into my genetic talk a little bit. There are genes linked to Crohn's disease and other chronic disease and things of that sort, but let me be the first to tell you this. That's just 1 or 2, we call it Ware, so SNPs, versus thousands. When I look at our genetic test, we're looking at about 12,000 SNPs, right, or genes. And then on top of that, when I actually sit down and read it, I've looked at about 3,000 genes that I have to figure out and deduce essentially what's really going on inside your body. But the beautiful thing is there's only about 1 to 2% of individuals in this world that this is actually linked to. So the craze of Crohn's disease is going on is not linked to genes. It's linked to what? Lifestyle. Oh, it's in my genes, my hypertension, my diabetes, you know, my mom and my dad, they got it. No, no. You have the same lifestyle as your mom and your dad and your grandparents. It's lifestyle. It's not anything other than that right there. I don't care if it's eye disease, it's only 1 to maybe 3% of genetic conditions that are really passed down. Yes, our bodies, we have about maybe 24 to 25 different like genetic disorders that we have in our body that wants to express itself. But that, you know, that methylation, the oscillation, the opening and closing of that cell is all about the genome. What's in that genome, our lifestyle. Are we sleeping well enough? The reason why I said, you know, who's sleeping between 7 and 9 hours? If you're not sleeping between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, you're walking around like a zombie. If you're sleeping like about 6 hours, you're walking around as if you drink a bottle and a half of wine a day. And the other beautiful thing with that is it takes your body anywhere between 4 and 7 hours to detox, to bring a detox. So again, if you're not sleeping that 7 to 9 hours, your brain's not detoxed, please put that Celsius down. Please. You hurt my feelings right now. You really hurt my feelings right now. Drink some water, please. Hydrate with some water, right? I'm joking with you, but I'm also being very, very serious. I used to treat a lot of, I still do treat a lot of high-level athletes, NFL, MLB, soccer, you know, actors, actresses, things of that sort, and they were doing that. And what was happening was, and actually, I'll give you a little breakdown of the reason why. It was a study that was showing that individuals that drank and ate things like that were high in sugar, their muscle mass and their muscle performance was not that of individuals that did not, about 30 to 40%. So you're not even reaching your full potential because of the fact that you have that in your system, okay? Side note, just a little side note, guys.
How long does it take to detox like a Celsius from your system? Because I was surprised, like I don't drink anything that has,
Yeah.
I don't consume anything that has more than 3 syllables. That's just a life thing.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I can't pronounce it, I try not to eat it.
Yeah.
But it took me literally 3 days to feel like a completely different person.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering like how the average person, I don't know how everybody else feels 3 or 5 days in, but I felt completely different. So how long does it take to detox?
And she was already eating a healthy lifestyle. So average individual, I'm gonna say about a month to 3 months. Why? Because you gotta understand that what that's doing to your body is actually attaching itself to the lumen of your intestines. So it's not just to body detox, and also you have to repair the body as well, as I said before. So those are the byproducts and the high amount of caffeine inside there. You gotta remember, caffeine is awesome. I love caffeine for certain things, but when you're doing it on a daily basis, not just dehydrating yourself, it's actually causing the heart muscle to actually thicken as well. It's causing the liver to actually have fatty liver and also have different nodules on it too. And it's not like, oh, they're huge, they're little small micro lesions that actually happen as well. So be very, very careful. And this is what the synthetic. It's synthetic. It's not the real caffeine.
What caffeines do you usually?
Green tea. Green tea. That's it. Green tea, and the reason why you got to understand is not just the caffeine inside there. You have ECGC inside there. You have a lot of vitamins and nutrients inside there that is going to actually not just allow you to have that caffeine fix. It's going to actually allow the body to also get rid of it as well.
Most green teas, a lot of different green teas have sugars in them too. Like, is there any particular one that you?
You get that bag and you put it inside and that's it. Anything on the shelf, say it again, anything on the shelf, it has preservatives inside of it that you gotta be very, very leery of. And me personally, anything that's in a bottle that's not glass or stainless steel, forget about it as well, okay? You gotta be very, very careful.
ECGC is in green tea?
It's really one of those words that's about that long, but essentially what's been shown that it actually helps the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary gland axis to really help create more energy inside of the cell itself, but also help not have the body be as stressed and tense as well, because it's one of the ones that create a lot of adrenaline. So if the body not create adrenaline, but use that caffeine versus using your adrenaline. Any other questions?
And it's usually the people in the blue zones too that are drinking green tea.
Exactly.
If you don't know about blue zones, Google it, but that is the longest living, healthiest. Because the big thing is it doesn't make any sense to live long and feel good while you're
Exactly.
So talking about longevity is almost counterproductive. It's like what's your lifespan, which you call
Exactly.
And that's what those blue zone people are thriving.
Exactly. You know, the average lifespan in the blue zone is like 96 to 180, 130 years old. You know, it's incredible. You know, the thing I tell, and I encourage each and every one of you guys to do one thing for yourselves. Figure out your health goal. What's your health goal first and foremost? And if you say weight, I say leave right now, because I don't care about your weight. Weight is the easiest thing to do, is the most silliest thing to even focus on. The reason why your weight comes on because of the fact that you're doing the bad things I just discussed. Not sleeping, eating incorrectly, right? Not managing your stress properly, and then just working out and thinking that I'm gonna look good. It doesn't matter. Just do the simple things first. So the other genetic variant that they look at is the fact that we have these cells, they're actually called fat. That we look at it and say, okay, people really have a genetic variance to be obese? Yes, we all do. But in fact, again, 0.005% of individuals are genetically predisposed to be obese. It's our lifestyle that brings it back on. And I said it before, what happens usually at birth, especially here in America, babies are done what? Fed formula. So now they have sugar addiction already. I need for it to be sweet. I need for it to be sweet. Always ask parents this when I see toddlers. I'm like, so you have a picky eater. Well, they only want to eat, so who introduced that food to them? The chicken nuggets, the fries, all the white and brown foods, who introduced that food to them? Well, exactly. So now you have to fix that. And the only real fix I've done, well, my patients say, well, you gotta let your kids starve. You leave the fruit and veggies on the table, and they're gonna kick and scream whatever. I say, but you see how fat they are? And I don't say fat, I say thick they are. I'm brutally honest. You guys, people who know me, I'm brutally honest. I'm sorry. You see what's been created. I said, and now if you want to correct, you have to starve it out their system. They have so much, adipose on there. They won't starve. They're not gonna starve. They'll be upset, and they're upset because they're not getting that fix of what? Sugar, right? I said, all you're gonna do is just keep everything out. And I used to treat a lot of autistic kids, and these kids, I love them. Except for this little girl, she's always smacked me, and I had to smack her back. I didn't smack her that hard. Anyway, but most of these individuals, it was that same thing. Not wanting to feed them healthy food. Oh, they'll never do that. They'll never do that. Most of them did. I've had kids that were inaudible with autism start to speak simply because of the fact that they started eating real food. Their brains start to have those connections to say, wait a minute, I can actually think and be audible now. So imagine what you can do if you let go of some of these things and think that it's in my genes. The study showed that. No. Put the Raisin Bran down, put all this other stuff down. If you're drinking cow's milk, please don't do that. This is raw cow's milk. Just drink goat's milk or sheep's milk, please. Bad for you. Next slide. That's another conversation. Did you break it? So it's gonna go over. So I'm gonna have you guys look at this quick video, and it's one of the ones that through the University of Utah, they do a great job with helping you understand genetics and also epigenetics a little bit. So, and that's gonna be sort of what I go into next, if we can get it going. Because if I have to explain it, it's gonna be a long conversation versus a minute and a half video. Yes, sir.
While we're waiting for that, what's your thoughts on some of the Beyond Meat?
Stupid.
Yeah.
Dumb.
The fake meat stuff.
Again, I've been vegan or vegetarian, like I said, for about 30 years, and I don't do any of that stuff. And I did it for a little bit, right? And I was like, oh man, I'm the best I can be, whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. My you're all adults in here. I said, my erections aren't as hard. Take care. My erections aren't as hard as they used to be. My energy levels are not where they used to be. I'm not functioning efficiently. I'm not thinking properly. What's going on? And it was like, hold up. I took all that stuff away from me. Went back up.
Just to go back to the erection thing and not say if I say erection, it turns into a whole thing. We had a conversation about it. Literally, there were 5 different men over the age of 60 who were on this little fast. They had a whole teenage discussion about how their erections were better than when they were literally when they were kids. I was talking to a group of women, literally their whole motivation for getting their husbands on the plan had a lot to do with erections. I'm just saying that I don't think people are aware that the way the body is functioning, there is not a natural decline in body function.
No.
This is all environment.
Yeah, just to combine that, just to get on that, is you got to understand that, everything goes where? Downward, right? I have a lot of women, another story, it's funny, had a wife, upset with her husband. I think he's cheating on me. I keep having this bacteria vaginitis thing go on. He's cheating on me. No, she had bacteria inside of her gut, and it leaked where? Inside of her vaginal canal. And after we fixed that, it went away, and I had to fix him as well, because now he also had it as well. So you also got to be very, very careful, even with yeast infections, all that kind of stuff. You can pass them back and forth. And they have this great relationship now. I was like, it's because of your gut. So everything goes down. Especially if you have leaky gut syndrome, it does leak inside of your body, that bad bacteria. That's why the liver and everything else is enlarged, and all these things go on, because the body is just consumed with all this. You can play it now. Sorry.
DNA contains the instructions for building all the parts of the body. But DNA is only half the story. The DNA in our bodies is wrapped around proteins called histones. Both the DNA and histones are covered with chemical tags. This second layer of structure is called the epigenome. The epigenome shapes the physical structure of the genome. It tightly wraps inactive genes, making them unreadable. It relaxes active genes, making them easily accessible. Different sets of genes are active in different cell types. The DNA code remains fixed for life, but the epigenome is flexible. Epigenetic tags react to signals from the outside world, such as diet and stress. The epigenome adjusts specific genes in our genomic landscape in response to our rapidly changing environment.
Thank you. So I showed you that so I can help you understand essentially what the whole genetic situation is. Why is it important for us to understand that the DNA will never change, but the epigenetics, the genome, we can change all of that, all of it, right? One reason why, and moms, you'll notice, one reason why they told you when you were pregnant to take what? Folic acid. Folic acid, because of the fact that we found that inside of the birth neural canal, that if you were deficient in that, there is a higher chance to have autoimmune disease or some sort of birth defect. And one of the largest components of that, the actual way to address that is by having folic acid. One simple nutrient. And notice I said folate acid, not folic acid. Folic acid is a synthetic form of folate acid, right? Folic acid is a synthetic form of folate acid. Folate acid is found in all leafy greens. So as long as you have leafy greens, you're getting enough folic acid. Same thing with calcium and all these things as well. You know, a lot of my clients come in my office with 2 or 3 shopping bags full of vitamins. And most of them I laugh at. I'm like, you don't need to do that. I have individuals that are taking like 80,000% of certain vitamins, 80,000%, right? Individuals don't understand that taking something like selenium. Selenium is great for hair, nails, and things of that sort, right? If you overdose in that, what's the side effect? Neuropathy. So a lot of times, oh, my hands and feet, I don't know why you're taking too much selenium. So to understand that it's a balance, and all these things affect that genome. So if you never had an issue before with your body or your mind or whatever, the first thing that happens, I showed you in the first 2 slides, the breakdown of some of these proteins, the breakdown of some of these processes are supposed to be natural, but we can stop that. One, by affecting the microbiome, that's one. Microbiome, once we get that fixed, you'll be on a few herbs here and there to make sure that it functions more efficiently. But the other thing that's going to happen is it's going to allow your genome to do what? I say sing. When everything's in concert, when everything sings, when everything's beautiful, that's when that longevity is going to happen. That's when that 100-year, that 120-year is really going to happen. And not happen just like, oh my gosh, I made it here, but I'm crippled. No. You made it there because of the fact that your body has not aged as fast as it should be. Because some of those bad bacteria that you think you have arthritis in your hips and your arms and things of that sort, it's the bacterial infection, right? So some of these things that happen, and I'm going to use you as an example, right? She's back on the road to recovery. I saw her 12, 13 years ago as a patient. And if I knew what I knew now, I would give her a GI map. Say, oh, wait, time out. Maybe your pain is due to an overgrowth bacteria somewhere inside your body. It could have been. We don't know. But it's so important for you to understand that because you have arthritis does not mean that you actually are getting old. I'm seeing individuals 28, 35 years old that actually have arthritis now. That was unheard of 15, 20 years ago. The testosterone rates in men right now are that of a 65-year-old, and these are still in that same age range, 20 to 35 years old. Why? Microbiome issues. They're not genetic issues. They're lifestyle issues. They're so easy to modify, okay? Next slide, please. How can we actually work together? How can we make sure that you're going to be the best that you can be? And is it hard work? Emily, is it hard work? You should say it's easy. No, it is hard work. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. For you to be the best you can be, think about how much work you've done to make it you the way you are right now. It's gonna take work, but that's why we are here to guide you through this whole process. For me, it's simple. So when you come to me and say, oh, I'm too busy to, I'm gonna just laugh at you. I always laugh at people. Then I say, okay, let's redo this in a way that's more efficient for you. So, we invite you to join our journey, because it is a journey. Anywhere from a 2 months to 3 months journey, 6 months journey, a year journey, or a lifetime. I have some patients that I've had for 15 years, and I love them all. And the reason why, because we trust each other to know that what we're going to do is the best for each of them. Next slide. Intelligent Aging Workshop Series. That's what I'm here for. I want your gut to be well. And I want you to understand what your genes are really saying. When I look at your genetic code, I can say, hey, listen, genetically, you're supposed to have 10 hours of sleep a night. So until you get that 10 hours of sleep a night, you're not gonna be the best you can be. I'm gonna brag a little bit, because I do have a variance that says that I can have between 6 and 7 hours of sleep, and I still work phenomenal, right? I'm like, I think 0.1% of the population actually has that gene. Yes. Sorry. I can also see essentially what you should be eating. How much protein should you have? Should you be vegan or vegetarian? Should you be a carnivore? I have people who are on these crazy diets. I've been vegan or vegetarian because it works for me. Then genetically, I found that I needed between 10 and 12% of my daily intake of nutrients to be protein. So me to be vegan or vegetarian, it was perfect for me. I didn't even know that. I was just doing it because I felt amazing, right? I have individuals that, they need 70% of their diet to be protein, 25% to be fat, and only 5% to be carbohydrates. And carbohydrates means fruits and veggies. As some individuals, I see that, I'm like, wow, you're at almost 80% positive to have type 2 diabetes if you don't do X, Y, Z. So we can see all these things by doing some of these tests. Athletes, I can say, you're more likely to have certain injuries in your back, on your ligaments, things of that sort, and it's the fastest way for you to recover as well. We have 12 different tests that actually we do with the DNA stuff as well, sorry. Next slide. This is my first way of working with you, right? I do the test. It's a poop test. I'm not gonna collectively do it myself, right? Give you the kit, you send it off, and then within 7 to 10 working days, not calendar days, working days, I'll get your results back, and then we'll have a consultation. After the consultation, I'll do everything that's personalized. I do nothing that's cookie cutter. It seems like cookie cutter sometimes. Oh, well, I'm on the same diet. Yeah, you are, but not for as long or whatever. I make sure everyone is having my personal care. Then I give you coaching. Next slide. Then I can also, as I said before, do some genetic testing on you, which for me is fun, because to get to know someone through their genes is so funny. I told Christine, I was like, wow, you're one of those people that if you don't like someone, you really don't like that person at all. And I saw all through her genes. I can see the way your dopamine and serotonin sort of are supposed to interact together and things of that sort, all genetically. Okay? Don't worry, Blaze, I got you next. Yes, and you actually, in my EMR, you have your own private portal that you can text me anytime. I usually don't answer you because I'm just joking. Monday through Friday, I'm on my portal all the time. Weekends, no. So just text me whenever. Go, next one. And then some add-ons. Got a Stretch is going to give you 4 30-minute stretch sessions, which I think is amazing. And the red light sessions, I'll pay for that myself right there. That red light sessions is, to be honest with you, like I said before, the biggest issue with most individuals is the fact that we're so bombarded with all these, EMFs and all these things. Our body really detoxifies as fast as it should be. So essentially, A red light like this, getting out in the sun, is going to help your body to learn how to detox better, right? A big thing that I find with patients, they say, oh, I hate sweating. I'm like, that's why you have hypertension. If you don't sweat, your body is going to hold on to that heat. Your blood continue to go around faster and beat harder. You have to sweat. That's where your body detoxifies itself, okay? Learn to love the sweat. Next slide. They also have 4 cupping sessions, 4 the compression. I need some compression. I'm sorry, my arms, I need some compression to go on. So some beautiful add-ons that I personally do myself that shows that, honestly, it's not just me, it's everything you can do to allow your body to get to that point of healing fastest. That's all we're trying to have for you guys. Next slide, please. This is the add-on price. $4.99. Usually, honestly, I always tell people, when we look at prices, we're like, oh, well, but from my perspective, I think what she has listed should be over $1,000 because of the fact that I know the time and labor intensive each of those really take, but it's amazing. Next slide. So to work with me, the comprehensive GI map and genetic testing is $2,700. Why? Because of the fact that we are going to be working together for about 3 months. You have my undivided attention, and actually, this is a severely discounted price. My patients that come in through other channels pay about $9,000 for it, okay? And just to have the actual GI map done is $21.95, and just to have the Got It Stretch added on is $4.89. Any questions so far?
If you have pesticides, mycotoxins, aflatoxins, you have to clear them out first before you do these.
What I'm doing is all of that at the same time, right? With someone that I know to have, and actually, I'm sorry, the actual GI map will show me the good bacteria, the bad bacteria, viruses you have in there, mycotoxins inside of there as well. If you have leaky gut syndrome, it'll show me all of that.
All right. If you're going to have a surgical procedure and you have to take antibiotics, would you wait till after
Yes.
the antibiotics
Yes.
before you do all that?
Yes. Yes. Definitely. And the reason why, and I can say no. Oh, we can start to make sure you're going to heal a lot faster. But I'm not a BSer. I just don't. Unless you're already a patient of mine, then I'll say, yeah, let's go and get this done. You'll heal faster. Since I don't know you, I'm going to say, no, let's wait until after.
Same with the genetic stuff, you would wait till after the
The genetic stuff is on its own. It's just a lot of diet, other things of that sort. Yeah. And actually, again, these are sort of combined together. I have people who just want to do the genetic testing, and that's it, or just the GI map test, and that's it. There are different prices just for those separate as well. Don't ask me right.
additives, it would be the 27 versus the 21.
So the $27.95 is the GI map and the genetic testing together. It's both of them together.
Okay.
And then the one in the middle, the GI balance, is just the GI map by itself. And having the coaching sessions and everything else. And then the add-ons, you'll add on this price to any of those, if you want to do those.
So the 10-week thing is included in the app?
Yes, yes. The 10-week, yeah.
So everything in the middle is included on the left. I know.
Hey, I've been up here talking for I don't know how long now. I'm tired. I'm just joking. Any other questions?